always something new. There's always something happening, something new opening almost weekly. You know, there's always some new cool concept. It's all very focused. Every single establishment has its own little niche and its own little thing that it does well. The nation in general has made a huge shift in the way that people drink beer and the beers that they drink in terms of embracing the craft side of things and having things, you know, kind of tailored for everybody's taste. You think about going from one production brewery in 2006 to probably 70 now. That's quite a big difference in 10 years.
Craft beer has had a very heavy influence in the drinking culture. There would still definitely be a large drinking culture here, but it would not be as prominent and as influential on the rest of the country as it currently is without that history. Prohibition started, or one of the main influences of Prohibition started in a Chicago suburb, which is Evanston. So that had a heavy influence. And then you have the history of bootlegging of Chicago as a result of mob connections and things like that. And again, with the brewery aspect, like, you have a large amount of breweries that have become huge within the entire Midwest, and partially now starting to become the entire country. I don't think that Chicago would be the same that it is now without that heavy influx of alcohol and the history to it. How the drinking industry has changed in the last 16 years is definitely the influx and popularity of craft and the desire for Chicago institutions to become known as the go-to for certain types of craft breweries. So you have Goose Island, which is a very historic brewery, and then you have Half Acre and Revolution, which have become staples within the city of Chicago as well.
Craft beer has really changed the way people are drinking, well, beer, and it's changed a lot of people's attitudes. And yes, we still go to baseball games and get Old Style and, you know, some of those when we're out there, but they're actually down there in the stands and they're walking around with Half Acre and they're walking around with Revolution and some of those other things. So it's definitely working its way into our culture in Chicago. When I got here 15 years ago, is basically what they called the Bermuda Triangle. It was Rock Bottom Downtown and Goose and Peace. And that was essentially it as far as the brew pubs went. And then now, over the last especially 7 or so years, it's exploded. We've got over 70 breweries in Chicago now. Well, one of the things that our owner Josh did was that he brought in people with a lot of experience. People put a lot of their artistic expression into the things that they're creating. It's not just a big factory producing bland crap. And that helped us to grow as quickly as we have. Going from 6,000 to 24,000 to 50,000 to over 70,000. We're one of the top 50 craft brewers in the United States already.